Welcome back to Raptor-One.
Raptor-One, Voyagers of the Stars. Season 2, Chapter 1, First Flight. The ship in waiting. The hangar was vast and quiet, filled with the metallic scent of fuel and the faint hum of containment fields. At its center rested Raptor-One, battle-scarred yet proud, her patched hull gleaming faintly under the light strips overhead. She was no longer the ship of Lyra, Kale, and Juno, yet her presence carried their memory, a weight that pressed on the hearts of the seven who now approached. At the head strode Captain Saran Vale, shoulders squared, though doubt gnawed at their every step. Expectation clung to them like gravity. They had not chosen command. It had been given, inherited, demanded. The question of whether they could earn it still burned like a coal in their chest. Beside Saran, Tessa Rhyn cradled her shard against her chest, eyes wide with wonder. She whispered, half to herself, "She's listening already. The ship remembers us." Behind them, Darrow Core ran a soldier's eye over the vessel, his jaw tight. "Hull looks like it's been through hell. Good. Means she's lived." Chiron Solari lingered near the rear, silent and watchful, scanning the corners of the hangar as though Alliance eyes might be hidden in every shadow. Ira Morn's steps were light, her gaze lifted skyward to the stars beyond the hangar doors. She smiled faintly, speaking to no one in particular. "The Constellation hums louder here. It knows we're about to move." From the side, Varric Thane muttered to himself, his cybernetic arm hissing as he flexed it. "Ship's an old scar with engines bolted on. Guess I can relate." And then came Cyrus. The stream begins. Cyrus walked into the hangar as though it were a stage. A compact hollow drone hovered at his shoulder, projecting his face into 1,000 feeds across the galaxy. Billions were already watching. Fans, critics, the curious, all tuning in to the first live broadcast of the new Raptor-One crew. Sparkles, ladies, gents, and Voyagers across the stars. Sparkles, Cyrus announced with practiced charm, arms outstretched. His voice echoed across the hangar, captured and amplified by the drone. "Welcome to history. This is First Flight, brought to you live, uncut, and unfiltered from the deck of legend itself, Raptor-One." The drone panned across the crew, their faces projected in crisp resolution to countless systems. Darrow cursed under his breath, shoving the lens aside. Chiron pulled up a hood, muttering, "This is insane." Tessa flushed, hiding her face. Ira only laughed softly, waving awkwardly at the feed. Saran's jaw tightened. "Cyrus." The influencer turned to their captain, grin dazzling. "Relax, Vale. Billions watching means billions believing. You think the Constellation sings loud? Try the universe chanting your name." Varric grunted. "This isn't a show." "Everything's a show," Cyrus replied, voice dropping to a silky hum. "The trick is surviving long enough to take the next bow." First steps aboard. Together, they boarded. Saran's hand shook as they touched the yoke. The console thrummed beneath their fingers, as if testing them. Tessa closed her eyes, hearing faint echoes of Lyra, Kale, and Juno, ghosts still lingering in the circuitry. Darrow ran his hands over the gunnery controls, muttering, "Good enough." Chiron studied the comms array, already mapping weaknesses, already thinking of what enemies might see. Ira smiled at the NAV station, whispering, "Show me the paths." Varric knelt at the engineering deck, his mechanical arm interfacing with the systems, the hum of resonance echoing faintly in his bones. Cyrus, of course, positioned himself dead center, hollow drone orbiting. Billions watching people. Let's give them a flight they'll never forget. The bond flared for the first time, 7 bands glowing, resonance flooding through them. The braid of 7. The weave came messy, chaotic. Darrow's discipline grated against Cyrus's theatricality. Chiron's guarded silence clashed with Ira's open wonder. Varric's Autom implants buzzed too harshly, rejected by Tessa's gentle song. And Saran, at the center, nearly buckled under the weight. 7 voices, clashing, colliding. Too many. I can't hold this. The doubt pressed hard, filling their hollow. But then Tessa's voice threaded through the noise, warm and insistent. Don't hold it. Just let it breathe. The braid steadied. Not harmony, not yet, but not collapse either. The first test. The Constellation wasted no time. The NAV map flared with blue light, marking their first call, a dormant radiant hidden in the folds of a nebula. But red signatures blinked on the system's edge, Autom scouts, already converging. Darrow swore. Figures. Ira smiled softly, as though reassured. The Constellation tests us. Chiron muttered, or throws us to slaughter. Varric's arm hissed. Either way, I'll keep the engines alive. Cyrus grinned at the drone, his voice smooth and confident. And you, my billions of beloved viewers, are about to see the legend reborn. Stay tuned, because this is what the end of silence looks like. Saran's hands steadied on the yoke. For the first time since stepping into the hangar, their voice was sure. Then we fly. Into the stars. Raptor-One roared into the void. The Autom scouts tightened formation, their certainty pressing into bone. New error detected. Error will be erased. But 7 voices rose against it, scarred, discordant, imperfect, yet unyielding. And across the galaxy, billions watched in real time as Raptor-One took flight once more. The hangar of memory. The hangar stretched endlessly above them, its vaulted ceiling glowing with dim strips of light. Silence reigned here, heavy and reverent, disturbed only by the distant whir of machines and the echo of 7 sets of footsteps. At the center rested Raptor-One. The starship bore the scars of her first crew, burned panels, welded seams, hull plating warped from battles fought against Autom certainty. Yet she stood proud, her silhouette unmistakable. More than alloy and resonance, she was memory. The 3 who had come before, Lyra, Kale, and Juno, had carved their names into her bones. And now she waited, as if weighing whether these 7 new Voyagers were worthy to carry her flame. 7 approaches. Captain Saran Vale was first to step forward. Their posture was upright, practiced, but their eyes betrayed the weight they carried. The legacy of command clung to them like a chain. I don't know if I can lead them, but I must. Beside them, Tessa Rhyn cradled her shard as though it were a heartbeat. She whispered with reverence, "She hears us. The ship remembers." Darrow Core surveyed the vessel like a battlefield, measuring gun ports, engines, angles of defense. His scarred hands flexed unconsciously, eager to grip the weapons he would trust more than any oath. Chiron Solari lagged slightly behind, hood drawn, eyes flicking to corners as if expecting Alliance agents to emerge. Trust was not his way. His mind already mapped exits, contingencies, and betrayals. Ira Morn's gaze was skyward. To her, the ship was not a relic but a doorway. She spoke softly, her words half prayer, half wonder. The Constellation is louder here. It knows we're about to join its song. Varric Thane said nothing. His cybernetic arm hissed faintly as he flexed the grafted Autom machinery. His eyes scanned the vessel with the bitterness of a man stitched together by scars, who recognized in the ship a reflection of his own broken form. And last, Cyrus. The streamer arrives. He strode into the hangar with a practiced flourish, the faint shimmer of his hollow drone orbiting him like a star. Its lens glowed, already capturing and transmitting. Across the galaxy, billions tuned in. Sparkles welcome, voyagers of every world. Sparkles, Cyrus's voice rang bright and flawless, amplified by a charisma honed from countless broadcasts. Billions of you are watching history in real time. Raptor-One rises again, not in myth, not in legend, but right here, right now, live. The drone panned over the crew, lingering on each face. Darrow shoved it away with a grunt, muttering curses. Chiron pulled his hood lower, snapping, "Turn that off before I put a bullet in it." Tessa blushed, ducking her face. Ira laughed, giving a shy wave. Varric scowled openly, his metallic jaw tightening. Saran's patience snapped. "Cyrus, this isn't a show." The influencer turned, grin radiant, his voice silken. "Everything's a show, Captain. The question is, do you control the story or let someone else tell it?" For a moment, silence fell. Even the hangar lights seemed to hum louder in disapproval. Yet beyond, billions leaned closer to their screens. First contact with the ship. One by one, they entered Raptor-One. Saran slid into the pilot's chair. The console thrummed beneath their touch, as if probing their resolve. Doubt clawed at them, but they did not pull back. Tessa laid her shard on the resonance station. A faint hum rose through the walls, as though Lyra's lullabies still lingered. Darrow seated himself at the gunnery console, fingers tracing the triggers. "Solid," he muttered. Chiron approached the comms, eyes sharp, already calculating how to twist its channels if need be. Ira sat at the NAV station, breath catching. "Look, the paths are alive. The Constellation is speaking already." Varric knelt at engineering, his Autom-grafted arm interfacing with the systems. Sparks flared. He grimaced. "She doesn't like me much. We'll see if that changes." Cyrus positioned himself at the center of it all, the drone circling. "Billions watching," he said softly, almost to himself, "and every one of them waiting for us to burn bright." The bond of 7. The bands on their wrists pulsed. The Constellation wove them together. Resonance surged into the cabin, 7 voices, 7 fractures. It was not harmony. It was chaos. Darrow's discipline bristled against Cyrus's flair. Chiron's silence grated against Ira's wonder. Varric's Autom rhythm clashed harsh with Tessa's tenderness. Saran, at the center, felt the storm tear at them from every side. Their chests tightened. "Too many. Too loud. I can't hold this." Then Tessa's voice threaded through, warm and insistent. "You don't have to hold us, Saran. Just let us breathe." The weave steadied. Not harmony, not yet, but no longer collapse. The first challenge. The NAV map flared with light. A radiant pulsed faint within a nebula, their first trial. But red signatures blinked at the system's edge. Autom scouts, already converging. Darrow's fists clenched. Of course. Ira tilted her head, eyes dreamy but sure. "The Constellation tests us," Chiron muttered, "or throws us to slaughter." Varric's voice rumbled, grim. "Doesn't matter. I'll keep her alive." Cyrus leaned toward his drone, grin wicked, eyes blazing. Billions watching, my friends. Our enemies call us error, but they don't know the ratings we pull. This is the rebirth of legend, and you're all live. Saran's hands tightened on the yoke. Doubt still burned, but beneath it flickered resolve. Their voice steadied. Then we fly. The ascent into fire. Raptor-One roared from the hangar, engines screaming as she surged into the void. The Autom scouts closed in, their certainty pressing into the bond like knives. New error detected. Error will be erased. 7 voices rose in defiance, raw, discordant, imperfect, but they rose together. And across the galaxy, billions leaned forward, holding their breath as Raptor-One sang again. The scouts close in. The void opened before them as Raptor-One cleared the hangar doors, but the freedom was short-lived. Autom scouts blinked into view, sleek, angular ships glowing with red certainty, their arcs forming with machine precision. The bond tightened painfully. The Autom's doctrine pressed into them like fire into bone. New error detected. Error will be erased. Saran's hands clenched on the yoke, heart hammering. This was no test flight. It was a trial by fire. 7 voices in motion. Darrow swung into gunnery, teeth bared. Targets acquired. Let's see how they like my hello. Chiron's fingers danced over comms, disrupting Autom pulses, searching for fractures in their rhythm. Their formation's too perfect. We'll have to break it. Varric slammed power into the engines, his Autom graph sparking. I can give you thrust for 20 seconds. After that, the ship cooks. Ira gripped the NAV station, her voice rising with awe. The Constellation says, left, into the storming path. Saran turned the yoke, trusting her instinct, the ship banking hard. And then Cyrus leaned forward, hollow drone whirring above his shoulder. Cyrus steps forward. Billions watching, he whispered, but for once the tone wasn't for spectacle, it was strategy. Autom doctrine thrives on certainty, Cyrus said quickly, eyes darting between feeds. We destabilize it by broadcasting our rhythm into theirs. My network can piggyback off Chiron's comms. We don't jam them, we drown them. Chiron snapped his head up, startled. That might work. Darrow grunted. If it doesn't, we're fried. Cyrus's grin was sharp. Then we make the universe our weapon. Billions of pulses, billions of voices, pushing into their perfect silence. He keyed his drone, linking it with comms. Across the galaxy, every watching device, every stream, every voice tuned to Cyrus's channel became an echo, fed back into the Autom lattice. Billions hummed with Raptor-One. The bond of 7 amplified. The Autom pressed harder. Order is fact, error is noise. But noise was exactly what Cyrus gave them. Billions of living voices, raw and fractured, poured into their certainty. The Autom arcs stuttered, faltered, red lines flickering out of sync. Darrow roared with triumph, guns blazing, carving holes in their formation. Ira shouted, left, into the blind arc. Saran pulled the yoke hard, the ship rolling between enemy beams. Varric dumped everything into the shields, cursing as sparks flew. And Cyrus laughed, not the showman's laugh of a practiced performer, but raw joy, carried by the tide of billions. Hear that, machines? The galaxy sings louder than your silence. Breaking the net. The Autom tried to recalculate, certainty pounding harder, but the weave of 7 voices held. Tessa's shard glowed, her voice soft but fierce. Don't let them take this. We carry flame, not silence. Chiron's code fractured their rhythm further, widening gaps for Darrow's fire. Varric kept the engines alive through sheer will, his Autom graphs sparking as he bent their machinery to human defiance. Ira's guidance flowed like instinct, charting paths through chaos. Saran's doubt quieted at last, hands steady on the yoke. And Cyrus amplified it all, turning their imperfect braid into a broadcast that reached every screen, every shard, every watcher across the stars. The Autom faltered. Their arcs collapsed. Fire bloomed in the void as the scouts fell. The song heard across the stars. Silence returned to the cockpit. The bond hummed, ragged but intact. Sparks hissed from consoles, smoke curling through the air. Billions of watchers erupted across Cyrus's feed. Cheers, awe, disbelief. Their voices poured back into the bond, bolstering the crew. For the first time, the new Voyagers were not just 7, they were many. Darrow slumped in his chair, sweat dripping. We're alive. Barely. Ira laughed softly, wonder in her eyes. The Constellation wanted us tested, and we endured. Saran exhaled slowly, their hollow quiet for the first time. Not perfect, not pretty, but we flew. Cyrus smiled at his drone, voice low, raw, and real. Billions saw us fight. Billions saw us endure. That's how legends live on. Raptor-One drifted forward, scarred but singing, her crew bound by the first flame of their journey. The silence after fire. The battle's echoes faded into the void. Where moments ago beams of certainty had lashed across the stars, only drifting wreckage remained, Autom husks burning dim against the dark. Raptor-One limped through the aftermath, hull groaning, her systems rattling like a body catching its breath. Inside the cockpit, the air was heavy with the smell of ozone and smoke. Panels still sparked occasionally. The bond hummed with the raw ache of 7 voices spent, stretched thin but unbroken. For the first time since stepping aboard, no one moved. Gathered in the cockpit. Saran slumped in the pilot's chair, hands still on the yoke, knuckles white. The doubt that had clawed at them before now quieted, not gone, but tempered. For the first time, they felt they might deserve the chair. Darrow leaned back in the gunner's seat, chest heaving. He wiped sweat from his brow and muttered, "If that's what a scouting party looks like, I don't want to see the main fleet." Ira sat curled in her chair at NAV, eyes shining with awe. The Constellation sang through us. We didn't just fight, we were carried. Chiron said nothing. His hood was still drawn, face half hidden, but his eyes flickered constantly across the console, paranoid, restless, calculating. Even victory wasn't enough to still his suspicion. Varric hunched at engineering, his cybernetic arm still sparking faintly. He growled low, more to himself than anyone else. Held together with tape and prayer. She won't last long at this rate. Tessa sat quietly, shard clasped tight, her hum soft but steady, soothing the frayed edges of the bond. We lasted, she whispered. That matters. And Cyrus leaned back with his hollow drone still hovering, broadcasting every flicker of exhaustion, every scar, every breath. His grin was softer now, more human, but still present. Billions saw us, he said, voice low. Billions felt what we did. For the first time in forever, they saw someone endure. The weight of billions. No one answered at first. Some resented his words, others ignored them. Yet none could deny it. The galaxy had been watching. Their struggle wasn't theirs alone anymore. Their voices had carried further than they could imagine. Saran finally looked up, meeting Cyrus's eyes. Billions watching means billions expecting. We can't afford to break. Cyrus's grin faded just slightly, replaced by something rawer. Then we don't break. We show them what it looks like to bleed and still fly. That's what they need. The bond pulsed faintly, not harmony, but a shared understanding. The first meal. Later, in the galley, the 7 gathered around the table. The food was ration paste, bland and lukewarm, but it tasted of survival. They ate in silence for a while. The tension of first contact still hung heavy, but so did something else, the faintest sense of belonging. Ira broke the quiet first, smiling faintly. When the constellation sang through us, I swear I felt bigger, like I wasn't just myself anymore. Varric grunted. That's the braid. Get used to it. Darrow smirked. Better get used to me then. Even Chiron chuckled, low and sharp, surprising them all. And Cyrus lifted his cup, hollow drone catching the moment in perfect frame. To the braid. Imperfect, messy, but ours. Saran raised theirs slowly. To Raptor-One. May she carry us where we need to go. They drank together. 7 voices, still raw and fractured, but no longer strangers. The song endures. When the meal ended, the crew drifted to their quarters, one by one. The ship's hum steadied as Varric coaxed life back into her systems. Tessa hummed softly, soothing the shards still buzzing in her veins. Darrow cleaned his rifle with practiced ritual. Ira sketched the paths of the stars in her notebook, tracing the constellation's whispers. Chiron lingered at the comms, scanning shadows for threats only he believed in. And Cyrus streamed it all, every moment, every silence, every scar. But when the cameras dimmed at last, he sat quietly at his bunk, eyes thoughtful. Billions watch, he whispered. But this is mine. In the cockpit, Saran sat alone, staring into the stars. The doubt remained, but so did something new, resolve. The braid pulsed faintly, a messy chorus of 7, scarred and imperfect, but it endured. Raptor-One slept, drifting into the nebula where their first radiant awaited. And so began their song.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to be notified about upcoming releases to the Raptor-One series, please subscribe. This has been a Bad Karma Drone production.